Folks, are we about ready?
Yeah, we need Dr. Dixon to come back before. I thought she was.
She stepped back out.
Yeah, she got to go up. I missed it. I mean, I'll be glad to step out and call them.
Hey, go ahead and ask everybody who's involved with the subdivision cases to come in, please.
That's good.
Oh, you do?
All right, I'd like to welcome everybody to the September 8th, 2022 public hearing of the Jefferson County Planning and Zoning Commission. Before we begin, I've got a statement to read to everybody about our purpose. The Planning and Zoning Commission is charged with regulating the subdivision of property in the unincorporated areas of Jefferson County. You will be given the decision of the Commission today regarding subdivision requests, and the plat representative will receive the decision in writing within 10 business days. Please note that any subdivision approved today is not complete. In order to complete the subdivision of your property, a final plat must be recorded in the office of the Judge of Probate. County will be coordinating with surveyors of today's approved preliminary plats to prepare the approved plats for recording. The Planning and Zoning Commission is also charged with evaluating requests for rezoning of property and advising the County Commission for their final determination. All decisions made by the Planning and Zoning Commission regarding zoning cases are advisory only, and the final determination of the zoning will be made by the Jefferson County Commission in a subsequent public hearing for which all property owners within 500 feet will be notified. If everyone would please silence any electronic devices that you have, and then also after your case is heard today, please feel free to leave. It's not rude for you to do that, and just don't feel like you have to stick around till the end of the meeting. All right, Connie, would you please call the roll, please? Here. Here.
Here. Here. Here. Here.
All right, great. Is there a motion relative to the reading of the minutes from last month? or the month before last.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we suspend the rules and accept the minutes as presented.
Second.
I've got a motion and a second. All in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. All right, the ayes have it. All right, first we will hear our subdivision cases. For our subdivision cases, the staff will present the case to the board, and then we will call for anyone here in opposition to come forward. And then after that, the applicant or their representative may be asked to come forward to answer any questions that the commission has, or to answer any of the questions that the opposition may have. Please, today, if you come up to the podium to talk, make sure to state your name and address for the record, and then also be sure to address the commission with any communications that you've got. All right. Our first case is case S22-49. This is Glenda Meganson's request for a two-lot subdivision of 1.36 acres in the McCalla area. Mr. Martin, go ahead, please.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this is a proposal to split a lot of record into two lots for residential use. It does comply with most of our regulations. It did not meet the 1 acre minimum requirement for A1 zoning. However, they did receive a variance from the Board of Zoning Adjustments several months ago. And as such, they are allowed to have no less than 29 square feet. And lot 4C, would be 30,000 square feet, which those two meet that. Other than that, the staff recommendation is approval for the subdivision.
All right, thank you, Mr. Martin. We'll now call for anyone here in opposition to this case. Please come forward. All right, seeing none, is the applicant here? All right, thank you. And we have opened the public hearing, by the way. Is there anyone else here who wishes to speak on this matter? All right, seeing none. Are there any questions from the commission? All right, and then we'll close the public hearing and call for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve S220049 as presented.
Second.
I've got a motion and a second. All in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. All right, the ayes have it. All right, next case is S22-52, Corinth Construction, LLC. Is the property owner, and Stan Weldy is the applicant, requesting a 15-lot subdivision of 7 acres in the Concord area. Mr. Martin, if you would please present the case.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this is a subdivision to split 5 acreage tracts into 15 lots for residential use. You can see here on our zoning map, there are 5 tracts that are existing now. This resurvey would put this into 15 lots. There's a proposed road expansion to the end and a cul-de-sac. This would terminate this road as it stands right now. Currently, it's a vacant area. This is where some of the tornadoes from 2011 came through. As such, this is a development to terminate that road and to split those lots up there. It does comply with all our zoning regulations. The construction plans will have to be submitted to Roads and Transportation and approved by them. Other than that, the staff recommendation for this subdivision is approval.
All right, thank you, Mr. Martin. We'll now open the public hearing and ask for anyone here in opposition to this case to please come forward. All right, seeing none, is the applicant here? All right. All right, thank you, Mr. Miller. Are there any questions for the applicant's engineer or surveyor? All right. Any questions otherwise or any discussion? All right, seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and call for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve S22-0052 as presented.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. All right, the ayes have it. All right, our next case is S22-55. Linda Guthrie and Joel Dyson's request for a 2-lot subdivision of 3.85 acres in the Tarrant area. Mr. Martin, if you would please present the case.
Yes, sir. This is a resurvey, essentially to move a boundary line between 2 lots of record. These are residential lots. As you can see here, there was an existing lot line, and it proposes to move it back towards lot 8.1 here to give them more acreage on this front lot. It complies with all our zoning regulations. There's no right-of-way dedication required, no traffic operation issues that are anticipated. The staff recommendation for this subdivision is approval.
All right, thank you. We'll now open the public hearing and ask for anyone here in opposition to please come forward. All right, seeing none, is the applicant here? All right, thank you. Are there any questions from the commission? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and call for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve S-22-0055 as presented.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. All right, the ayes have it. Our next case is S-22-56. This is Catherine and Adam Mahaffey's, are the owners, and Wes Bertoldi is the applicant. Request for a one-lot subdivision of 19.75 acres in the corner area. Mr. Martin, if you would please present the case.
Yes, sir. This is a proposal for a one-lot subdivision. Back in 2006, there was a portion of this parent tract that was actually had a three-lot subdivision case that came before P&Z. It was approved, but the final plat was never recorded. There was subsequently a one-lot subdivision recorded for the adjacent property that was in that parent tract as well. And so in order to bring this piece of land into compliance, they have to go to the subdivision case to plat it properly. So there is a one-lot subdivision is what we have here. It complies with all our A1 zoning standards. Right-of-way dedication will be required for Orrin Miller Road, 25 foot from center line. There's no floodplain and there's no sewer available, so septic approval will have to come through the Jefferson County Department of Health. Staff recommendation for this one-lot subdivision is approval.
Okay. Thank you, sir. We'll now open the public hearing and call for anyone here in opposition to please come forward. All right. Yes, sir. Please be sure to state your name and address for us.
Gary Mayfield, 1530 Orrin Miller Road, Warrior, Alabama, 35180.
All right. Thank
He
you, Mr.
explained to me out there, and what it was, all the people that live on that road, we live on a narrow road, and we was concerned that they was going to do a subdivision.
All right.
And it got us, I done a petition and everything up for everything. Everybody was in agreement, and, they didn't want it there. But people in the past out there, and I know two different residents, one wanted to build a house out there, and he was denied because the road's too narrow, and we got a small water line. I think there's 13 houses and trailers on the road right now. And if everybody turns their water on at the same time, we have no water pressure. Ever how long ago it was when Birmingham Waterworks put a water line in, they put a small line in.
Okay.
And our insurance was real high because we couldn't get close to a fire hydrant because the water line, you couldn't hook a fire hydrant to it.
Right.
And that was one of my concerns why they were denied. And then another guy was wanting to put a trailer on his property for another one of his kids, and he was denied because of the same issues.
Right.
And I just want to know, clarify, and make sure there's not going to be a subdivision put out there in that little area.
Yeah, sure, and I understand that, and Mr. Martin can reiterate this if he needs to now here in this public hearing, but I understand this is more of a cleanup case, that this lot was created or attempted to be created back in 2006, but it was never actually recorded, and so they are not, when you hear the word subdivision, they're not trying to create, row houses or multiple houses here along the street.
That's what everybody got worried about.
And I understand it. It's called a subdivision just if you're changing property boundary lines, and whether you're making numerous smaller lots or you're actually just changing the boundary lines of, that between two parcels, it's still called a subdivision, even though there's still two parcels. So I completely understand the confusion, but hopefully you're happy to hear that that's not the case.
Yeah,
So
they just want one lot.
that's
one
right.
trailer on it.
That's right. And so this shouldn't
Well,
cause any additional houses to be built or anything like that.
I've been out there 50-something years now, but we finally I work for Jefferson County. We finally got the road paved about 2 years ago. We've been on a wagon trail road for
Sure.
years, and they finally paved it, and we was tickled about that.
Good.
I'm hoping they can get it and everything, but we just was concerned. Everybody in the neighborhood was.
I don't blame you, but hopefully this will allay their concerns. But that's what you're describing is not what they're trying to do here. So,
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else here in opposition to this case? All right. Seeing none, is the applicant here? Okay. Are there any questions from the commission for the applicant? All right. Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and call for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve S-22-0056 as presented.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. All right, the ayes have it. All right. Our next case is S22-57. This is Opal Vance request for a 4-lot subdivision of 19.32 acres in the Morris area. Mr. Martin, if you would please present the case.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this is a proposed resurvey. I'd split one lot of record into 4 lots for residential use. This property was platted in 2019. It was the lot 2 was approved in 2019 in the Opal Lewis single-family subdivision. As such, it's now being brought before you to split once again. All these lots do have road frontage. They're pretty large tracts. This is all A1 agriculture. It does comply with all our zoning regulations for that district. The driveway access for Lot 2D will only be allowed on Sedgefield Drive. Also, clearing and grading will be required to obtain adequate site distance for the driveway access to Lots 2A through 2C. No additional right-of-way dedication is required. There's no sewer here, so septic permits will have to be pulled through Jefferson County Department of Health. Staff recommendation for this subdivision is approval.
All right, thank you, Mr. Martin. We'll now open the public hearing and call for anyone here in opposition to please come forward. All right, seeing none, is the applicant here? All right, good deal. Thank you, sir. Are there any questions from the commission? All right, then we'll close the public hearing and call for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve S22-0057.
Second.
I've got a motion and a second. All in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. All right, ayes have it. Our next case is S22-58. David Irwin, Lisa Irwin, and Peyton Irwin request for a 3-lot subdivision of 36.38 acres in the Warrior area. Mr. Martin, if you would please present the case.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this is another resurvey. This is to split one lot of record into 3 lots for residential use. There's been a number of subdivisions on this property, the most recent being 2020, Lot 5A of Crumps, resurvey of Lot 5, and conservation Lot 5A of Capstone Sunview subdivision. And that was recorded in 2020. As such, the staff has completed a review of this. It does meet all our A1 requirements. There's no additional right-of-way dedication required, and there's no sewer here, so septic permits will have to be approved by Jefferson County Department of Health. The staff recommendation is approval.
All right, thank you, sir. We'll now open the public hearing and call for anyone here in opposition to please come forward. All right, seeing none, and the applicant here. Okay, thank you, sir. Are there any questions from the commission or any discussion? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and call for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve S22-0058 as presented.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. All right, let's have it. Our next case is S22-59, Make It Your Own Rentals, LLC. The property owner, Sam White, is the applicant, requesting a 3-lot subdivision of 5.85 acres in the Pinson area. Mr. Martin, if you would please present the case.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the applicant is proposing to convey 3 acres tracts into 3 lots of record for residential use. This property actually came before the board in 2020, case 79. It was approved, the same plat. However, it was not recorded within the 12-month time frame as such that they need that approval for before they can record it. So it's back before Planning and Zoning Commission today. It complies, it meets all the requirements, and in fact, this is more or less the final plat that's ready to be recorded.
All right, thank you, Mr. Martin. We'll now open the public hearing on this case and call for anyone here in opposition to please come forward. All right, seeing none, is the applicant here? All right. Are there any questions from the commission? And we'll close the public hearing and call for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve S22-0059 as presented.
Second.
We've got a motion and a second. All in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. All right, the ayes have it. All right, next subdivision case is S22-60, Michael MacArthur and Susan Marchant's request for a 2-lot subdivision of 1.7 acres in the Concord area. Go ahead, Mr. Martin.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this is a resurvey to move a boundary line between 2 lots of record. This plat, the MacArthur Marchant Rainey survey, was approved by the Planning and Zoning Commission in 2008 and then subsequently recorded. As you can see, this is the old lot line faded here. They're moving it just a small distance towards the other one. The lots still meet all the requirements for our zoning, and as such, the staff recommendation for this resurvey is approval.
All right, thank you. We'll now open the public hearing and call for anyone here in opposition to please come forward. All right, seeing none, is the applicant here? All right, thank you. Are there any questions from the commission? Then we'll close the public hearing and call for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve S22-0060 as presented.
Second.
I've got a motion and a second. All in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. All right, the ayes have it. All right, our next case is S22-61, Alabama Land Group LLC. Property owner Charles Kessler is the applicant, requesting a 12-lot subdivision of 30 acres in the Jefferson County area, or in Jefferson County, and 8.1 acres in the city of Birmingham, which will be that will be within their purview. But this is in the Cahaba Landings area. Mr. Martin, if you would please present the case.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this is a subdivision to split 4 acreage tracts into 12 lots of record for a residential development. As you mentioned, a portion, 2 of these lots are within the city limits of Birmingham, as you can see here, and the rest is in unincorporated Jefferson County, Zone A1. This case actually, or the property came before the board in 2019, case 52. It was approved as a 8-lot subdivision at that point in time, and after which the developer did start moving on construction that was approved. It was never platted, and the roads were never completed. And this time now, there's been a motion to bring it back into 12 lots instead of 8, with a private road and a cul-de-sac turnaround. We did have a couple of comments from the traffic on this one. There's going to be no individual lot access to Sickert Hollow Road. It'll have to come all through this main road here. If a private road is to be gated, a turnaround area must be provided at the advance of the gate, and the adequate common area will have to be dedicated for the private roadway. Acceptable means and measures must be established and recorded for the perpetual maintenance and repair of this private roadway. Also, because it's in the city of Birmingham will have to sign the final plat and give approval for this. And I did want to note that we did have one letter of opposition that was sent in yesterday afternoon that is attached in your booklet. The staff recommendation for this subdivision is approval.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. Is there anyone here in opposition to this case?
Yes.
All right, sir, if you wouldn't mind, please come forward and state your name and address for the record. Take your time.
My name is Richard Conwoff. I live at 3851 Oxford Manor Court, 35242. Oxford Manor Court is immediately adjacent to both Sickert Hollow Road and this property. In the letter I sent to you, which I hope you all had a chance to glance at least, stated a number of reasons. I'm told, I guess, Mr. Martin is you I spoke to yesterday. Yeah, I spoke to him. He gave me all kinds of reasons why all my opposition reasons wouldn't work for a subdivision. But he did say, I have 2 points that I'd like to emphasize out of my letter. One is, Mr. Martin mentioned that there was no sewage system out here. And I can tell you, every house in the Cotswolds is attached to the sewage system that serves the local community. So there is sewage available out here, and they could attach to it if they wanted to. The reason for that is this whole area is underlain by coal mines, and there are coal mines underlying this property. And if you only have a pit to flush your toilet into, there's a chance it could go right into one of the voids under the property and flow down to the Little Cahaba River, which flows directly into the intake pump for the Birmingham water. So there is sewage available here should they want it. The other point I would like to emphasize is if you look at the picture on the last page of the letter I sent you, It shows Sacred Hollow Road, where water off of their road drains into a drainage ditch on the far side of Sacred Hollow Road. You can see how much water goes through there because of the depth of the erosion going into that little creek. But what that picture also shows is that there's literally no more than 2 feet between the edge of Sacred Hollow Road and a 2 or 3 foot deep ditch. And that's one of the reasons why Sacred Hollow Road is such a dangerous road, as anybody who drives on it knows, and why they have a lot of accidents occur along the road. So that's part of the reason why I suggest that the developer be required to put in acceleration and deceleration lanes to get into this place. The Cotswolds has more lots, obviously, but we have acceleration and deceleration lanes into each of the 3 entrances. So one of the problems here is people put their garbage cans out at the end of their dirt road, and, you know, there's no way for a garbage truck to stop and pick it up, or a mail truck to stop and fill up the mailboxes without creating a blockage on Sacred Hollow Road, which would cause some people maybe to try to go around the truck, even though there's a double line, which could easily cause an accident. Someone going into that ditch and flipping their car over, which has happened numerous times along the Sacred Hollow, right in this area. So those are some of my reasons for opposing it. I guess I emphasized in my letter, I don't really trust the developer because they trespassed on our land, took down roughly 25 or 30 feet of pine trees beyond the right-of-way. And in fact, they actually took out the property marker on my property. They dug it out. So when they do their survey, I would ask that they put in really large survey markers so that anybody doing any work on that property know exactly where the borderline is. Thank you, that's all I have.
All right, thank you, Mr. Cornwall. All right, is there anyone else here in opposition to this case? All right, is the applicant here? Michael, would you step outside and make sure there's Mr. Kessler or anybody from Alabama Land Group LLC is not here? Mm-hmm.
No, sir, there's no one here.
All right, thank you, Mr. Morrison. All right, are there any questions for the commission?
Mr. Chairman, I do have questions, but the developer's not here.
All right.
So do we want to let staff talk about some of the concerns from the opposition?
Sure. Any questions that the commission's got for staff or the applicant? I think now would be the appropriate time, so go ahead.
So I know we don't have our health department representative here, but regarding the sewage, being able to, one, connect to existing sanitary sewer versus their planned septic tank usage. What are the county regulations and guidelines related to that with respect to the issue, especially dealing with the subterranean mining?
We do route this plat for review for environmental services. The comments I got back were that there was no public sanitary sewer available to this property. There could definitely be, well, obviously the Cotswolds here have sewer. I don't know what that distance is, but that was the comment I got from Environmental Services. Now, I will say this, that these smaller lots, they don't meet the minimum square footage, I don't believe. I think it's 15,000 square feet, which you have to have for a septic field. These lots are multiple acres, so they have the field available for septic fields. The ones in the Cotswolds do not, and it does require that sewer to be built. But that's all I have in regards to that sewer. The health department does not inspect, in terms of foundations for homes, geotechnical work. To my knowledge, none of that is performed. It's only the pit test for percolation. That they do monitor and improve that.
Thank you.
Yes, Dr. Dickerson has a question. Can you mind if this is on point?
I'll yield.
Yeah, Dr. Dickerson, if you've got a question about the sanitary sewer, please go ahead.
Not about the sanitation, no.
Okay. Well, Mr. Lowry, I think do you have another question?
I was just going to.
Dr. Dickerson, we're going to come right back to you,
I was
okay?
going to do, and I had some questions regarding the oppositional comments. So for traffic, the turn lane and decel lane, was that recommended or discussed in the analysis by engineering, traffic engineering,
That was not noted in there.
as being needed?
As being needed, that's correct.
And they reviewed the access to Seacart Hollow Road, and it's the best site distance available.
That's correct. That was the access point. That was like I said, this property is already the road has been graded, and there's been gravel already put down from the previous approved subdivision, and that was the access point that Resident Transportation had permitted at that point. Like I said, this is going from an 8-lot, which was approved 8-lot, to a 12-lot.
Okay. And last thing I had was a comment that the opposition had about survey markers. I mean, that he'll have to mark all his lots when his basically begins his construction, right?
Typically, that's a process they will do. If the survey markers are not there, to my knowledge. I mean, you're going to have to, a surveyor will have to lay out this road, these points, so you're going to have some controls.
I would assume our subdivision regulations require, as a condition of final plat approval, that there be corners set, pins set on all the corners. Now, the size of those pins will be dictated by professional land surveying requirements, and so, but yes, that is a requirement that they set pins at the established corners.
That's all.
Anything else?
Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Dr. Dickerson.
My question is basically the same, but his last photo at the end of his letter, that last photo, has something been done about that?
Oh, in terms of the sedimentation, is that
Right,
correct?
and yes.
Yeah, I did, and I did.
And it's so narrow, as he described.
I did speak with, after I spoke to the gentleman, I'm sorry, Mr. Carnwood, thank you, yesterday on the phone, and after speaking with him, I did follow up with our stormwater division to ask about this property. There has been 44 total inspections on this property since 2019, which is when they originally pulled the erosion control permit. And there was a failed August inspection, so I suspect some of the newer BMPs that you see in place on some of these pictures here were done in the last few weeks as a result of that failed inspection. So our stormwater division has been monitoring this site.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Certainly, Dr. Dickerson. Is there anyone else who has any questions? I have one quick question for Roads and Transportation. I take it that this 12-lot subdivision has been reviewed as well as the original 8-lot subdivision, and that there's no real difference in traffic trips and the needs for decel lanes and things of that nature. Is that correct?
That's correct. The amount of trips didn't increase enough to warrant an XL or decel lane.
Yeah, and that's, the need for a decel lane or not, I mean, ultimately, the safest thing would be obviously to put in a decel lane, but as far as engineering standards are concerned, the amount of anticipated traffic just would not warrant that being actually necessary. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right. Are there any other questions from the commission? All right, Mr.
Sir, I'm sorry, I'd just like to know, my question was answered,
It was.
both of them, yes, sir.
Okay, good. Mr. Cornwalth, you've got your hand raised, and I typically wouldn't allow multiple times, but under the circumstances, I think it's okay if you want to come back forward. We'll give you one more minute if you've got anything else to say, and then we'll close the public hearing after that, and we'll have a vote on this.
Okay, just very quickly, in terms of the acceleration, deceleration line, I would point out that since the roads department did their original survey anyway, and maybe their current one, there's an additional 400 houses being planned and built in Liberty Park, which is going to dramatically increase the traffic on Sickard Hollow Road. So it's not just the size of the subdivision that matters, it's the amount of traffic on Sickard Hollow Road that matters. That's all.
And I understand. And
How many houses did he say?
he said 400 houses were being planned on another area.
That's, I mean, there are some planned developments in that area, but that's more of a concern of Secret Hollow Road itself. So when you look at ingress egress of a subdivision, you're looking at number of trips per hour of that subdivision on and off that roadway. So you don't, the overall scheme that you're speaking of is more of a Secret Hollow Road improvement itself, not for the subdivision.
Did we have an actual traffic study? I mean, I think on something of this size that would be unusual. But, I mean, was there an actual traffic study? And I take it the Roads and Transportation, y'all looked at this and decided that a traffic study was not necessary because of the amount of trips that are anticipated.
That's correct. No traffic study was necessary. I believe they used a number roughly of 100 trips per hour increase to warrant a traffic study, and this would not fall in that category.
Yeah. Yeah, matter of fact, it probably would only be approximately 24 trips a day or something.
Right.
All right.
I have one more question
Yes, Dr. Dickerson.
about the sinkhole business. There was mining going on out there, small mines, and you addressed that, but I don't recall exactly what you said about it.
Yeah, this was, in this letter, the report that was referenced was this was when the Cotswolds, this is the adjacent property, was being constructed to the north. It's quite a large development here. This is the geotechnical report from that. There was apparently some old mining that was done there in the past, and there's mines that could potentially cause cave-ins, and so because of that, my understanding is that some of the homes and the lots on that Cotswold development were not actually, there was no homes built on them because of that reason. I think the cost of mitigating those risks would probably outweigh the benefit. So that was on the adjacent property to the north here.
Yeah, and did I understand you to say that the health department looks at percolation rates and they look at the suitability of the soil at the surface for whether the field lines will be in suitable soil, but as far as what's below the surface I mean, there's nobody here from the health department to tell us this, so we're doing the best we can, but that's...
Based on the applications that we get, and in speaking of knowing that their inspectors do go out and look at these sites, it wouldn't be they would have to have geotechnical work done on those sites to do that, which would be probably cost prohibitive. They're not necessarily looking at the structural integrity of the site. They're looking at how well it perks and is it safe in terms of septic systems. So.
Yeah. Well, I know we approved this with 8 lots with the same access point and same sewer system. So I think that, the increased amount of lots, it complies with the subdivision regulations. That's really the only change. And if it's compliant with the subdivision regulations, I don't know that there's a lot of discretion, at least in my mind, for, us to change our prior decision. But I guess that would be up to the pleasure of the board. So we will, if there's any more discussion, please speak now. If not, let's close the public hearing and call for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve S22-0061 as presented.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, signal by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. All right, the ayes have it. All right. Our next case is S22-62. Michael Gendro and Jason Phillips request for a 4-lot subdivision of 6.3 acres in the McCalla area.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this is a subdivision to split 2 acreage tracts into 4 lots of record. As you can see here, there's a lot here, a parcel here and a parcel here, as they're being resurveyed into 4 lots. It does meet the minimum area requirements for A1. An exception to the subdivision regulations is required to allow lots 2, 3, and 4 to be recorded with no road frontage. There's no anticipated road access or traffic operation issues. Right-of-way dedication will be required, 25 foot from center line on Blue George Blue area adjacent to the property. There's no sewer available, so the Department of Health will have to approve the septic system. Other than that, the staff recommendation is approval with the exception.
All right, thank you, Mr. Martin. We'll now open the public hearing and call for anyone here in opposition. Please come forward. Yes, sir. Please remember to state your name and address for us.
I'm William Brown. My property is adjacent to this. I'm at 4931 Dogwood Drive, 35022. I really don't oppose the 4-lot deal, but if this is approved as subdivision, can they turn around and say, well, we're going to make this 16 lots and pile them houses on top of one another?
They'd have to come back to this board to make it 16 lots. Come back for the same process when you get the same notice and to ask for more lots than the 4 that they were asking for now.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
they are limited to these 4 right now.
Correct.
That's
Now, and they're 2 acres each, and so under the present zoning of agricultural, they could technically subdivide each one of them and maybe just one of them in half again, because you'd have to have a minimum of 1 acre area per lot. So you think there's just rough math here, there's an opportunity for them to maybe subdivide lot 4 once more. But anyway, to answer your original question, this does not look suitable under the current zoning to be able to be considered for a 16-lot subdivision. All right. Yes, sir. Is there anyone else here in opposition to this case? All right, seeing none, is the applicant here? All right, thank you, Mr. Gilbert. Are there any questions from the commission? All right. Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and call for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve S22-0062 with the exception to the subdivision regulation to allow lots 2, 3, and 4 to be recorded with no road frontage.
Second.
We've got a motion and a second. All in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. All right, the ayes have it. All right, we've got 3 more subdivision cases. The next case is S22-64. Cindy Blevins, property owner, and Adam Blevins is the applicant, requesting a 1-lot subdivision of 1.62 acres in the corner area. Mr. Martin, if you would, please present the case.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this is the purpose of this subdivision is to convey 1 acreage tract into 1 lot of record for residential use. This property did come before the board in 2010. It was approved as a 3-lot subdivision at the time. However, it was never recorded. At the time, they also did receive a variance on Lot 1 to have less than the required 50 foot of road frontage. That variance still stands for that property. And as such, it does meet all the the zoning regulation requirements for A1. There's no additional right-of-way required, no sewer available, so the health department will have to give their approval on the septic system.
Thank you, Mr.
Staff
Martin.
recommendation is approved.
Thank you, sir. Sorry about that. All right, we'll now open the public hearing and call for anyone here in opposition to please come forward. All right, seeing none, is the applicant here? All right, great. Are there any questions from the commission? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and call for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve S22-0064 as presented.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. All right, the ayes have it. Our next subdivision case is S22-65, Farrah Warren's request for a one-lot subdivision of 10.1 acres in the Oak Grove area. Mr. Martin, if you would please go ahead and present the case.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this is a resurvey of Lot 1 and 2 of the Naval Reserve two-lot subdivision. This was approved in 2007 by the Planning and Zoning Commission, subsequently recorded. So they're combining, making one lot out of it. It complies with all our zoning regulations. No additional right-of-way is required. We'll note that a floodplain development permit is required for any building development on the lot, as it does have a special flood hazard, Zone AE, on this property. Other than that, staff recommendation for this subdivision is approval.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. We'll now open the public hearing and call for anyone here in opposition to please come forward. All right, seeing none, is the applicant here? All right. Are there any questions from the commission? Let's close the public hearing and call for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve S22-0065 as presented.
Second.
I've got a motion and a second. All in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. All right, the ayes have it. Our last subdivision case for the day that's not associated with the zoning case, or our last one, regardless, I guess, is S22-67. Landon and Whitney Walls, Billy Jean Dickinson are the property owners, and Wes Bertoldi's request for a three-lot subdivision of 11.96 acres in the McCullough area. Mr. Martin, if you would please present the case.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this is a resurvey, the purpose of which to split one existing lot and to also move the boundary line between another one. This property was split in 2004, was approved by the Planning and Zoning Commission and recorded. As such, they're coming back before to split that, mainly to split this one lot here. It does meet all the requirements for A1 zoning. We will have to, you'll have to grant an exception to the subdivision regulations to allow lot B1AA to be recorded with no road frontage. It's noted here that Jefferson County is developing construction plans to widen Old Tuscaloosa Highway adjacent to this property, so additional right-of-way may be necessary for the project. As such, it will have to be dedicated prior to the final plat. There's no sewer on this property, so the Department of Health will have to approve the septic system. Other than that, the staff recommendation is approval with the stated exception.
All right, thank you, Mr. Martin. We'll now open the public hearing and call for anyone here in opposition to this case. Please come forward. All right, is the applicant here? All right, thank you, sir. Are there any questions from the commission? All right, seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and call for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve S22-0067 with the exception to the subdivision regulation to allow lot B1-AA to be recorded with no road frontage.
Second.
We've got a motion and a second. All in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. All right, the ayes have it. All right, that concludes our subdivision cases, and we'll now move on to our zoning cases. And Mr. Morrison, if you would please let everybody in the hall know that we're going to be moving on to our zoning cases and invite them to come in, please. Thank you.
Really? Okay.
All right. Thank you all for sitting out in the hall. I apologize for keeping y'all out there. I thought that there were a lot more people, and so I tried to keep the room from getting filled up, and so I asked for subdivision case participants to come in first and the zoning to stay out. So I do apologize to you for that. But just so you know, some of the ground rules, if you weren't able to hear them in the hall, we're now moving into our zoning cases. And for zoning cases, the Planning Commission makes recommendations to the Jefferson County Commission on zoning. We don't make the final decision. We just make recommendations. The County Commission makes the final decision. They'll do that at a subsequent hearing. On our zoning cases, the staff will present the case and tell us generally what it's all about, and then we'll ask the applicant to come forward and add anything that they wish to the staff's report, and they'll have 15 minutes to do that. They have 15 minutes total to present their case. So we'll call for opposition also to come forward. The opposition will have a total of 15 minutes. And so if you anticipate there to be opposition in this case, I suggest that you reserve some of your 15 minutes to be able to rebut, because you'll only be allowed 15 minutes total. And so those are the ground rules for our rezoning cases, and we will go ahead and move into our first one. Mr. Brown, if you would please present the first zoning case, which is a carryover case. It's Z22-33, Infinity Investments LLC is the property owner, and Jabari Mosley is the applicant, requesting a change of zoning to R1 for a residential subdivision of 17 lots and a retention pond proposed. This is on 8.94 acres in the Forestdale area.
Mr. Chairman, that case has been withdrawn by the applicant.
Is that why it says withdrawn in red for the entire? Excuse me. Yeah, I know it. I'm still enjoying the weekend. All right. First rezoning case is Z22-42, Spencer Preserve LLC's request. Spencer Preserve LLC is the property owner, applicant Zach Parrish, requesting a change of zoning to RG to allow a 5-lot subdivision. This is on 2.64 acres in the South Shades Crest area. Let's do that one instead.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Brown.
Absolutely. So, Mr. Chairman, in this case, the long-range land use plan identifies property for a P3 suburban zone, G3 infill growth, and the RG single-family zone district, and as well as the proposed use is consistent with that designation. There's one historical case associated with this property's address. That was case Z2208. And the development proposal for this case proposed at that time a 20-unit condominium complex on 2.64 acres, or the equivalent of 7.57 dwelling units per acre. And that proposal was deemed to be out of character with the surrounding area, and the case was subsequently withdrawn by the applicant. And so here you see that the subject property is located at the intersection of Sterling Lakes Drive and South Shades Crest Road. The property was placed with signage on it, excuse me. And so here's your existing land use. And what it shows you is, I don't know how accurate this is, but there's vacant land to the north and to the west of the site. To the east that's actually the city of Helena jurisdiction, and to the south, those are single family dwellings in terms of the existing land uses. Here's your current zoning map for the property. The property is presently zoned A1. To the east in Helena, that property is zoned R1 single family district. Across Shades Crest Road to the west, that property is zoned A1, and to the south, that property's, well, you have two classifications. One, in the unincorporated county, the property is zoned A1. In the city of Helena, that property is zoned R1. Here's the applicant's site plan. As you mentioned, Joey Miller of MTTR Engineers submitted this site plan. He's proposing 5 lots, approximately 0.53 acres per lot, for a total of 2.64 acres. So to arrive at the heart of the staff's recommendation, what the development proposal has here is approximately, in terms of density, it's 1.89 dwelling units per acre. If you're looking to the west in the unincorporated county, that property is zone A1, which allows 1 dwelling unit per acre. In the city of Helena, where the property is zone R1, approximately, it's not an exact figure here, but in that development, Helena, 2.58 dwelling units per acre would be allowed. So you're somewhere in the middle. What you have is a single-family dwelling proposed here at the intersection of Shades Crest and Sterling. To the south, you have single-family. To the east in Helena, you have single-family. There's just not necessarily a dramatic difference in density. There's a slight difference in density between what's in Helena and what's being proposed here with the applicant's request. Staff is recommending approval. Just to reiterate, the RG zone district and proposed use, this again consistent with the long-range land use plan. The development proposal has the applicant's development proposal has a density of 1.89 dwelling units per acre. The maximum allowed in the RG district is 8.8 dwelling units per acre. So this is significantly below what the maximum would be. And also, it's less than what was allowed with the previous zoning case, Z2208. Again, staff is recommending approval, and that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. We'll now open the public hearing and ask for the applicant to come forward at this time if they wish to do so.
Yes, sir. Joey Miller, MTTR Engineers, 3 River Chase Ridge, Hoover 35244. Got a couple of more points I'm going to make about this. We're averaging a little over half acre a lot. We got 22,000 square feet is the average density we have per lot. That's the average. And some of them are smaller, some of them are bigger, but they're all over a half acre. We're willing to covenant that 5 is the most we're going to have. Now, by the zoning, we could have a lot more, but we're willing to covenant 5. We have a joint use driveway coming off Sterling Lakes. And, oh, yeah, thank you. Willie's helping me. He's a lot better than I am at this. We have a joint use driveway coming off Sterling Lakes, and we anticipate most people want to come off Sterling Lakes to come into the property and not have to pull out on Shades Crest. But there is a way out on Shades Crest also. The average lot size, the average house size is 2,000 to 3,000 square feet. We anticipate how the price is starting in the low 200,000s, and we're going to manage our storm water detention, and we have sewer capacity from the Sterling Lake. It's a private sewer system, and so we have capacity there that we have purchased the sewage treatment. So that's the sewage treatment on it. So anyway, I'll be glad to answer any questions y'all might have, or I can answer the opposition's questions, or try to anyway.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Miller. Sure. We'll now go ahead and ask for anyone here in opposition to please come forward this time. State your name and address.
Yes, I'm Terry McElroy, 1036 Sterling Lake Circle, Helena, Alabama, 35022.
Thank you, Mr. McElroy. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm here to oppose this change because on the surface it looks good, but it's my understanding on the drawing on the map, the lots that are proposed are 5, while there are only 5 lots, they're split by the drive, which does not seem like that may be the way it ends up in the end. The zoning could be used that is there today as a single-family residence, so it makes me question why we're rezoning it to a max or a minimum of 1,000 square feet per home. That concerns us in Sterling Lake since all of our homes are 2,500 square feet plus. There are other issues that we're concerned about as well as far as traffic, construction in the area, et cetera. The proposed development, the developer owns multiple other lots within our subdivision, but the plan has changed and we're not building houses that he originally purchased those properties for. So the plan has dramatically changed since he originally bought the property out of bankruptcy. And I would also like to say that this is not the first rezoning request that has been proposed. This is the 3rd one. There was one in Jefferson County previously under a different name. There was one in Helena, which the plan changed at that time. It went from 20 condo units to a larger square footage, more upscale condo unit, and now then we're to townhomes. But I would like to also, if y'all don't mind, pass these pictures up that you can look. These are the homes that are on the back side of this proposal and directly past the proposed driveway off of Sterling Lakes Drive. So these are where we'll be mixing these smaller homes, garden homes, 5 lots on a lot that is about 3 times the length that you would need for that home. So it makes us question, is this really the plan, or is this the proposal at this time, or will it change once the zoning is changed?
Thank you, Mr. Beckroy.
Thank you.
Mr. McElroy, what are these photos of now? The plan, these are the homes that are already existing?
Those are the homes that are existing right behind this, where as you come down Sterling Lakes Drive, it turns left, and those are the homes. I don't know if you can put the aerial map back up. Okay. This is the aerial map here, where you can see. Okay, which one's the pointer? Oh, at the top. Okay. This is the homes that exist now, the pictures that you're looking at.
Okay.
I believe this homeowner is here currently. This is the home that backs right up to these properties. And the driveway would be separating the proposed lots in half, essentially. So I'm not sure why we have 5 lots that extend onto the other side of the street for this type of development. But these are the homes, and of course you can see the roof lines are significantly larger than I know we're saying 2,000 to 3,000 square foot townhomes on these narrow 5 lots, but it is not consistent with the residential area and the houses that are built along South Shades Crest as well, not necessarily in part of a subdivision.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
David Kaiser, 110 Sterling Lakes Drive, the one on the corner. The question I have is, why rezone? If you can go ahead and put the same structure of an R1, right, 2,000 square feet, why rezone? Why do we even need to? I think the existing structures that we have, to have a minimum of 1,000 square feet in the bylaws of a zoning RG gives the opportunity for any developer to circumvent a like structure. Last time we went up against it because it was multifamily. And so that was kind of an obvious verbiage, right? So now we find, 3rd time around now, and I suspect if you were to vote it down, we'd have to do a 4th time in Helena. But just because, you call it single family with a minimum of 1,000 square feet, that's not like structure. It's just single family. So when you look at the pictures there, and they're all on the back side of this, and this development is much larger than what you're seeing, that's what we intended we purchased in this area. We anticipated A1, agriculture. We anticipate farm and rural. We're 3 miles off of an area that is pretty congested. If you ever go down Morgan Road, all the way to I-459 towards Bessemer, 7 o'clock in the morning, it's packed all the way up to Shades Crest. And later in the day, going towards Hoover, it's just packed. So with this set of precedents, if you go ahead and change this to RG, what are they going to do? Are they going to take it then and go down to Helena and say, hey, Jefferson's behind this? With a minimum 1,000 square feet, I don't care what he says. Oh, we're going to put in 2,000 square foot homes, which meets our needs. But why rezone? Then why rezone if you're going to meet our structures? I believe they're not going to meet the same structure. I believe they're not going to build homes like ours, just on the other side of the fence. So it's frustrating coming in here, February, March area, and then have to go do it down in Helena, and now we're back here again. It's really frustrating because we in Sterling Lakes anticipated structures like structures. You know, we would love to see the phase 1 completed, phase 2 completed, phase 3, but like structures. It's to our advantage to have those completed because our homes would end up elevating in price. You know, just the cost of lumber alone is going to elevate our homes in price. But my home is living square feet at 4,500 square feet, finished. No way is that going to be good for us. You know, farmland's great. But like I say, why rezone if you're going to put in like structure? I don't believe they are. So, anyway, have anything else?
All right. Yes, ma'am. Come right ahead. Give us your name and address, please.
Hi, my name is Ellen Kaiser, 110 Sterling Lakes Drive. I live on the corner lot right here that was just discussed, 4,500 square foot home, stunning. When we moved in, the neighborhood was left in disrepair. We've gathered the neighbors together to go ahead and clean it up because it was left in that state with the developer that bought it out of bankruptcy. On top of that, if this is being considered, they're going to have to put in an above ground sewer. Is what my understanding was for these proposed lots. The third item that I have is there is an HOA that was filed in 2006 in Jefferson County, and it has the guidelines for the build. I have the document right here. There is also an HOA that exists in Shelby County because this property has been annexed into Helena City. So that HOA is recorded in Shelby County as well. And there are restrictions as far as what can be built and the aesthetic of what is, the build requirements. And so, again, I'm with the previous two in opposition. There is a tremendous amount of email. The Helena City hearing, the courthouse was packed with opposition when they tried to rezone this to an R6. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, sir. Come right ahead.
My name is Warren Grayson. I live 500 Sterling Lakes Way. Just moved in January, and no sooner I moved in that had to start fighting this rezoning. It's kind of discouraging. I got 2 small kids at home, under 2, and it's been disheartening, really, to have to do this over and over again. But from my perspective, it doesn't fit. This whole proposal doesn't fit in with the area, with the houses that are already in place. I don't want to reiterate everything that's already been said before. I just want to go on record stating that I'm against this. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Grayson, or Officer Grayson. All right. Is there anyone else here who wishes to speak in opposition to this case? All right. If the applicant would please come back up, and if you would please respond to the concerns of the
I can
opposition.
respond, but I don't know if I'll alleviate their concerns, but I'll give it the old college try.
All right.
As to, they're going to be single-family homes. Somebody suggested they would be townhomes. They're not going to be townhomes. Willie, you're going to show me what to do here to get to the. I want to go to the site plan, please. Thank you. Somebody suggested we're cutting the lots. We've got a joint use driveway across the front of the lots that comes off Sterling Lake. So everybody will have a joint use driveway. There'll be an access easement. The homeowners association will be responsible for the joint use driveway. That's fairly standard to cut down on the number of driveways when you're on a busy road. So we'll have one driveway on Shades Crest Road and one driveway on Sterling Lakes. That's not unusual. As to how close we are to the existing houses, there's a pretty significant, well, if we could go back to the, well, yeah, I want to go to the picture of it. Yeah, okay, sorry.
Picture?
Yeah.
The aerial.
Yeah, well, no, not the aerial, that, all right. There's roughly, some of the lots are 600 feet deep, they go as shallow as 400 feet deep. The first 120 feet off Shades Crest is relatively flat, then you've got probably about a 75 to 100 foot elevation change, as you can see. The first 120 feet are where the houses are going to be built. Everything else is going to be woods. And so, you know, they can say that they aren't going, you know, that this is going to be there, but the reality is there's going to be as much as a football field's worth of woods between the back of their lot and where our houses are. And it's woods now. And there's no incentive for us to cut the woods down. We're not going to cut the woods down. And so there's no need to clear any more than we need to clear. It's just that costs money to do that. The other thing you asked why we're rezoning it from A1, well, you can build one house on an A1 lot. I mean, that's, you know, the only thing I can say is we've got 5 lots. The average lot size is 22,000 square feet, which is more than a half acre. A half acre is like 21,750, something like that. So we're more than a half acre per lot average. The size of the houses really are dependent on the marketing of the area, but nobody's building a 1,000 square foot house anymore, and there's no reason you couldn't sell a 1,000 square foot house even if you wanted to build one. I mean, you could build one, but that doesn't mean you'd be able to sell it. That's about, you know, the other things, you know, they're talking about existing lots in the subdivision. This is my client's property. He'd like to develop it. To me, it's a reasonable thing, but that's up to the planning commission and up to the county commission to decide that. The HOA, you know, we're in Jefferson County. We're going to have to go by Jefferson County rules. Most of the Helena subdivision is within Shelby County, you know, and that's the way the county line runs right there. I'm not sure what else to say to that. So, you know, anyway, I'll be glad to answer any questions y'all might have, though.
Yes, go ahead. We got a question for Roads and Transportation.
More just a clarification. I think the statement you're making about tying into South Shades Crest. My understanding is our county traffic engineers reviewed it and will ask you to only tie into Sterling Lakes.
Well, no, that's the way we originally proposed it. One of the comments was they wanted it to be able to come through for fire access. We'd be glad. I mean, I'd much rather not tie into Shades Crest Road because to me, it's dangerous. But you know, whatever y'all want to do is fine with me.
And that's y'all's road. Work out later.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's y'all's road. I mean, we'll have to go by y'all's regulations and what us and the county engineer decides what's safe. But we have no objection to that at all.
All right. Are there any other questions? All right, Mr. Lowry.
Well, I do have one more thing I meant to
go ahead, Mr.
emphasize. We're willing to covenant we're going to want to have 5 lots because somebody said, oh, they're going to come back and once we get it rezoned, we're going to make it whatever, you know, the maximum you can. The reality is, with the topography the way it is, this is really the only way you can develop the property is the 5 lots fronting on Shades Crest Road. I mean, that's the reality of it. And that's why we're willing to covenant 5 lots because that's all we're going to build anyway. So anyway.
All right.
I have a question.
Oh, yes, Mr. George, go ahead.
I think one of their major concerns was the size. Someone said 1,000 square feet, and you're saying 2,200. Do you have any renderings for the house that you're going to build?
Do we have the elevations?
Sir, please don't talk if you're not in the podium.
No, well, I'm asking Willie something. I'm
sorry.
No,
I was asking the opposition to please not speak unless they're at the podium.
Yes, we don't have them with.
Do you have any renderings of the houses?
Yes, ma'am. We gave some renderings of the type houses. If you look in your staff report, it's on page 9. But they would have full basements also, just because that's part of across a 70-foot lot of the 70-foot deep house. There's about 12 feet of elevation change from the front to the rear, so the lots are all pretty steep.
Mr. Brown, is there any way that, is your presentation, does it contain the renderings from the applicant?
Sure. But anyway, so there would be two-story houses, actually 3-story with a basement. 2 stories with a basement is what they'd be. So
did you have a square foot? Maybe I didn't hear it.
Well, we're anticipating 2,000 to 3,000 square foot houses, which would be starting in the low 400,000s, if they're 2,000 square feet. That's about what construction costs now. New construction's gone up dramatically.
And are you going to do garages in the basement?
No, sir, because they'd all be front loading, because really the reality is it'd be very difficult to build a driveway across the rear of the lot because it's on about a 15% grade, so you'd end up building about a 10-foot high retaining wall by the time you got to behind the house to be able to turn in and turn out. Because one of the traffic recommendations was they wanted a 24-foot wide driveway. I think that's what it was.
You said front load, so you're going to have a
garage doors in the front.
You have garage doors.
Yeah, they would all. The driveways would all be facing Shades Crest Road.
Right, but you're going to have a garage.
Yes, everybody would have the garage. Everybody would have their own garage. Yes, sir.
You mind if I keep going?
Sure, go ahead, Mr. Flower.
Okay. All right. So I heard you say already that you'd be willing to covenant to only 5 lots.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And the joint driveway, and I've heard roads, the access to be per roads.
Well, yeah, I mean,
so,
if they don't want us to come off Shades Crest, that's fine with us.
Yep.
I mean, whatever. To me, though, that's an engineering detail, really, not a zoning.
And I heard you say your lot size is approximately a ½ acre for each lot, right?
Well, the average is a ½ acre. Some are a little bit bigger, some are a little bit smaller. But it's 5 lots over 2.6 acres.
And Willie, the parcels behind here that we got the pictures for, what would you say the lot sizes are on these?
I think R1 in Helena is approximately 15,000 square feet.
So I'm not great with square feet. How many acres is that?
1/3 of an acre.
Okay, so they're about, what's that? Like 2/10 of an acre bigger? Okay, so a couple of questions. So I heard Ms. Kaiser mention about a homeowners association agreement. Is this property under the Sterling Lakes HOA? Was it recorded with an HOA?
No, it's a separate parcel.
Okay, all right. It just happens to adjoin their drive.
Right. That's what I was trying to say earlier. It's not in Shelby County. It's in Jefferson County. It's its own piece of property.
Okay. Well, I mean, since it touches their access road, that's what I was curious how.
Well, that's a public road, though. That's a public road. It's not a private road.
Okay, all right, thank you. Let's see, so you talked about the property behind the houses that you were going to not basically cut down the trees and everything, so within reason. So would you be willing to consider a covenant for a buffer of so many feet? If so, what would you consider?
Willie, can we go back? Use the remote. Other remote. Okay. Technology challenge, what can I say?
That's a good slide.
What I do it.
There we go. All right. One more. There we go. All right. Right now, we're showing a 35-foot undisturbed buffer. The problem is, see where it says detention pond area?
Yes.
That's where our stormwater, that's a low spot on the property. That's where the stormwater is going to have to be contained. We could probably do most of that other part where it says 1.89.
Basically draw the detention
Yeah, I
pond
mean, we
off.
could probably, have maybe 50 foot of undisturbed buffer, except for where the detention pond is, and plant something on top of the pond, bushes or something to screen the pond. But, without engineering drawings, I'd hesitate to just commit to exactly how much area we could have, but we could have a pretty big undisturbed buffer on lots like 1, 2, 3. 4 and 5 might.
So I have two thoughts on that. Either we specify a covenant with the 50-foot buffer, and where you can't maintain 50 foot, you do plantings by the detention pond.
We could live with that yeah, we could live with that.
So if you're not sure about that, we could consider instead you bring the site plan back to us to.
Well, to really get it, we have to do engineering drawings, and well, I'm fixing to probably jump off into the deep end here, but.
Well, if you like the first proposal, let's just go with it.
Let's go with the first proposal.
Okay, all right.
That way you don't have to listen to me rant and rave.
So, and how about covenant on your house size?
We'd be wanting a covenant the same size as R1 Helena, which I think is 1,300 square feet.
Is that the same, is that square footage the same for Jefferson County?
I couldn't tell you what Jefferson County is.
I'm looking at Michael.
R1 zone?
Yes. No, the size house, Mike, size house. 1,500 square feet.
Well, you said 2 to 3, so that should cover it.
Yeah, we can live with 1,500 square feet.
Okay.
If that's what Jefferson County is, we'll go with R1 Jefferson County.
No, actually, R1 is 1,000 for 1 story, 1,100 for 2 stories, and 800 on the first story.
1,300 sounds real good to me, because that's what R1 Helena is.
Well, we're trying to set a better standard.
Well, I understand that, and
I mean, you said 2 to 3, so now we're back down to 1,300.
I feel like I'm in a. He said he can live with 1,500. We can live with 1,500. We'll covenant 1,500 as the minimum size.
Okay. And
Which at present market values, that'd be $300,000 house minimum. It's $200 a foot. You're doing good if you can build a house for $200 a foot now.
So, on your renderings that you included, is your construction going to be like that, or is it going to be different? So, I mean, I see looks like a lot of hardy board, not much brick. I'm guessing hardy board, but.
I've got it written down. Let me see what I can. It's a mix of siding and masonry, yeah, hardy board masonry, veneers, that type of thing.
Okay. And I'm looking at the pictures that are up in Sterling
Yes.
Manor, and they're all nice brick architecture. So, and I'm not trying to drive your price up. I'm just talking, consistent with the neighborhood. I haven't driven out here. I haven't driven out here in a while. So, but you've been out to the site. So, how does this architecture or the
Well, what I'd call
compare?
this was like a country craftsman type house.
Where I was going, are there other country craftsman style homes in the area? So I know that Sterling Lakes seems to be a more modern upscale development, and Saddlewood, I can't tell from the drawings, but it looks like an older subdivision.
I don't think there's any craftsman style houses in Sterling Lake that I can think of. It's been a while.
I think your developer wants to talk. He can come up and.
Go ahead.
Pardon me, Mr. Chairman, but you do your name and address thing for us.
Zach Parrish, 3981 Pine Lane, Bessemer, Alabama, 35022. To answer your question about the product type, it is fitting and suitable to that area. If you drive up and down South Shades Crest, there's a mix of brick homes, siding homes, craftsmen, various architectures, and this blends fine with it. If I can add, too, that I live about 2 miles down the street from this, so it's in my best interest to make sure that this adheres and fits.
So if we did a covenant to say, conform to the spirit of the renderings provided?
Yeah, I'd be fine with that.
All right, Mr. Chairman, I think I'm out of questions.
All right, Mr. Lauer, are there any other questions from the commission? Yes, Dr. Dixon.
Back to the buffer. We were asking about a covenant for that, and I think that.
Yes, ma'am, and I'm fine with that, with the 50-foot buffer.
Yes.
With the exception of behind the detention pond, if it decreases, that we'll provide screening and planting around it.
All right. All right. Is that it from the commission? All right. Mr. Kaiser, I'm going to let you come back and say you raised your hand a couple of times. I appreciate you not blurting out. So ask you to.
Kaiser, 110 Sterling Links Drive. I still have a question. We keep hearing the 2,500, 2,000. Is there a R rating? See, because Shelby County has a different R ratings in rendering is exactly okay. What does 1,500 equal? If you zone it as a RG and it has a minimum of 1,000, okay, and it's even read in there. It says unit. They even call it a unit, not really a home. It kind of makes you think of condos.
So here's what we talked about. We talked about putting a square footage on each lot for the home of 1,500 square feet.
And isn't it 1,800 within the Sterling Lakes? You would know, right? I mean, the home. I know, but as far as the zoning, right? And the thought is whatever y'all do here, they still now can probably take whatever your zoning is or whatever your things and go down to Helena, and we got another fight. We got to go do something else because why? It is in Jefferson County, yes, but we're all worried about just the general area because here we are worried about the other areas like Phase 1, Phase 2, and we're going to all be back at this pretty quick, probably someday, right? And when we set a precedence of, hey, this is great, this is zoning, maybe these homes are 2,500. Maybe we put a little covenant in there, but it's still creating a precedence for the future. These other phases aren't even completed. So is it like our structures? No, it's not. And sure, you can go see the older homes along Shades Crest. Yeah, you can compare it to an older home that wasn't all brick. Yeah, sure. But the reason why a builder doesn't want to do all brick all the way around is because cost, right? So who gets to pocket it? We the homeowners of the beautiful homes, seems like we're the ones holding the bag in the end. The developer gets to not make a like home, only per square footage. We all know that it doesn't look like those homes. So if we, again, why don't you rezone it to an R1? Why are we going for an RG? Unless there's other alternatives or other thoughts or other possibilities. Why? Why have a minimum of 1,000 square feet per unit if that's not something a developer might want to entertain someday? So what you do today is going to have precautions down the road for all these homeowners. Because the precedents, you say, hey, worked out there. So that's it.
Thank you, Mr. Kaiser. Mr. Brown?
I just wanted to point out under the A1 zone district, mobile homes are permitted. And so the owner would be permitted one mobile home per acre under the A1 zone district if the zone district doesn't, if the rezoning isn't approved. That's what would be allowed today.
Mm-hmm.
So that's.
And again, on top of that, Mr. Chairman, minimum house square footage in A1 zoning is 600 square feet.
Mm-hmm.
Which we're finding A1.
Mobile homes?
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand. I understand your opinion. Okay. Are there any other questions from the commission or any further discussion? All right, seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and call for a roll call vote on this one.
How about a motion first?
Mr. Lowry, you got a motion? Go ahead.
Okay, so this is a complicated case. I've listened to both sides. I've asked some, what I think are some pretty tough questions on how to make this work, if it can work for everybody in the best possible way. So I'm going to make a motion to recommend approval with a lot of covenants. So we'll go forward. The first one is substantial conformance with the site plan, including only 5 lots, and the common driveway is approved by Roads and Transportation. A buffer at the rear of the property of at least 50 feet, and where 50 feet cannot be obtained at the detention pond area, that there'll be a planted buffer suitable for that area, and that the home size requirements will be a minimum of 1,500 square feet. And let's see, I think that covers everything. Yep, that's it. So that's the motion.
All right, there's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, then we'll have a roll call vote, please. Hold on, Mr. Morrison.
We've switched the way we do things from covenants to conditions.
Okay, you can call it condition then. Okay, I amend my.
It's cool.
Okay.
Second row. Great, row. Now we switched that to conditions.
Okay.
Language to reflect that.
Okay.
And you did want substantial conformance to the site plan with the lots and driveway approval from transportation.
Yes.
50-foot buffer where adjacent to Sterling Lake subdivision, correct?
So that
50-foot buffer where adjacent to the subdivision.
at the rear of the properties. Yes.
And then there was some other language about the.
And if the 50 feet can't be met at the detention pond, that there be plantings to provide said buffer, additional buffer.
Select the maximum percent.
Yes. And you got the house size too, right? Yes. Okay. Do we have a second, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, so do you want your motion amended according to Mr. Morrison's
I
suggestion?
would like it amended in accordance with his suggestions.
And Dr. Dixon, is there a second of
A second, yeah.
the amended motion? All right, let's have a roll call vote on the motion that's been seconded as amended.
Yes.
I recuse.
Yes.
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 Abstaining.
Yes.
All right. And 2 abstains or
Abstentions.
recusals. Okay. All right. Then the ayes have it. So we're just a recommending body. The final decision will be made by the county commission as a subsequent hearing. And appreciate y'all coming here today. I think that your concerns were heard today, and I hope that some of the conditions that we've suggested will help allay some of your concerns. But again, the county commission will be making the final decision as a subsequent hearing. Okay. All right. Thank you all.
Mr. McElroy, if you want your photos back.
All right, our next case is Z22-43A and LR Properties LLC is the property owner. The applicant is Lilybeth Orozco, requesting a change of zoning from C1 and A1 to R5B, which is a mobile home park, to remove a split zoning and bring an existing mobile home park into compliance. Mr. Brown, if you would, please go ahead and present the case.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. So this property is located near the intersection of Pinson Valley Parkway and Sun Hill Drive. You can see in the photos behind the guardrail, the picture to the upper right corner is the actual subdivision. And so here's the future land use plan designation for that property, which is a special district. And I'll go into what the special district entails here in just a second. So you have the existing land use map, which shows you the surrounding uses, single family, to the, I guess that would be the northwest, and also to the southeast. To the immediate south, that property is vacant. Also to the north, the property is vacant. What the current zoning map shows you is that the property has a split zoning classification of both A1 and C1. And so here's the applicant site plan. Essentially, what this shows you is that there are approximately 20 existing mobile homes and one single-family stick-built home on the property. There's additional space on the property for a maximum of roughly 28 mobile homes on this site. Staff recommendation. So the use, this use has existed for the past 60 years at its current location. The future land use designation, again, is special district, which is appropriate for high-impact zones such as penal facilities, airports, and institutional uses according to Jefferson County's comprehensive plan. Mobile home parks were previously permitted in the C1 zone district, which did not have the 5-acre minimum requirement. Case A-22-0024 waived, however, the 5-acre minimum requirement, and so staff is recommending approval.
All right, thank you, Mr. Brown. We'll now open the public hearing and ask if the applicant wishes to come forward and add anything at this time. Please do so. Is the applicant here? All right. Is there any opposition to this case? All right, seeing none. Questions from the commission? All right, then we'll close the public hearing and call for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to recommend approval on zoning case Z220043.
Second.
I've got a motion and a second. All in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. All right, the ayes have it. All right, next case is Z22-44. Deborah Hall is the property owner, and Matthew Horsley is the applicant requesting a change of zoning from I3 to A1 of 1 acre in the Morris area. Mr. Brown, if you would please present the case.
Yes, sir. So this is a fairly simple rezoning request. As you mentioned, the applicant is proposing to develop the site with a single-family dwelling. Future land use plan identifies this property as rural. There was previously a mobile home on the site. That mobile home has been removed. A1 is agricultural properties to the north, and to the west there's vacant land to the east. Single-family dwellings to the south. Current zoning map shows you the zoning classifications I3 and A1, which is central to this site. Here's the applicant's site plan. And staff's recommendation is that this rezoning should be approved because it's consistent with the long-range land use plan and compatible with the surrounding area.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. We'll now open the public hearing and ask for the applicant to come forward at this time if they wish to do so. All right. Is there anyone here in opposition to this case? Are there any questions from the commission? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and call for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I recommend approval of Z220044.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. All right, the ayes have it. Our next case is Z22-47. UAS Holdings LLC is the property owner. William Robert Thomas is the applicant requesting a change of zoning from A1 to C1 for a computer training center for veterans, seniors, and others. This is on a 1.08 acre tract in the Chalkville area. Mr. Brown, if you would please present the case.
Yes, sir. So this property is located at the intersection of Mildred Ann Drive and Old Springville Road. It's a peculiar case just simply because this area is transitioning, and the area around it is in two different jurisdictions. City of Clay is to the north, and the city of Centerpoint is to the west, to the south. The existing land use plan shows you, and this is outdated, that there were single-family uses at one time surrounding the property, which is no longer the case. Here's the future land use plan for the area, which identifies the area for single-family uses. And the current zoning shows you that the property is presently zoned A1. And as you mentioned, the applicant is requesting C1 zoning. So in here, this depiction, what this shows you is that the city of Clay, the property to the north is in the city of Clay. It's zoned general commercial, and It's presently a nail salon. Across Old Springville Road, that property is vacant in the city of Center Point, and it's zoned institutional. To the south of the property is a roofing contractor of the city of Center Point, and that property is zoned institutional. There's a floodway or floodplain behind the property along Mildred and Drive. Those are single-family uses, but they don't abut or they're not contiguous or adjacent to the subject property. Staff recommendation is that this site is not consistent with the long-range land use plan, which identifies the property as single-family district. A map amendment would be required, as we do when properties are not consistent with the county's land use plan. However, this area, again, is transitioning as the site is surrounded by institutional commercial uses, although in other jurisdictions. The P&Z committee has some latitude where there's one site involved, and you have evidence that the area is transitioning, which I've already identified for you. And so that's the staff's recommendation. Thanks, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. We'll now open the public hearing and now give the applicant the opportunity to come forward if they wish to do so and add anything to the presentation. And thank you for your patience, sir. I know we've had a long agenda. Appreciate you sitting back there. Yeah.
Thank you. My name is William Thomas. I'm with Shoal Engineering. I live at 301 Edgewood Boulevard, 35209. So yes, as Mr. Brown said, he said the area is transitioning, but I would kind of say, no, the area is already transitioned, because to the immediate north, we already have a commercial area that is yin massage and touch of art and nail care. Immediately to the south side, adjacent to this property, is a roofing company. Once you keep going further south along Old Springville Road, we have a funeral home, we have a salon spa, we have a pool supply store, we have a gas station, and we have a used car dealer. So there is no residential. These may have been former residential homes, but they have been converted to commercial. And so really changing the zoning from A1 to C1 is the proper and best use for this property.
Okay.
I will say, so the current owner purchased the home, and it had remained vacant for 2 years before he purchased it. He tried to rent it out for, let me get the exact set. He said he bought it in July of 2019, and until February of 2022, he tried to rent it out as a residential home and was unable to get any tenants. And so that's kind of, so the previous owner had tried to rent it and couldn't, so he sold it. And so the current owner, my client, tried to rent it out and was unsuccessful doing that as a single family because of all the commercial area surrounding the property. As you mentioned, or as Mr. Brown mentioned, the plan is to host a computer training center for veteran seniors and others who are interested in that.
Okay. Mr. Thomas, are you engaged to perform engineering services, or what's your role in this?
My role came in because technically there's a floodplain on the property, and so that was kind of one of the issues that they were like, hey, we got to address this, but hey, before we do that, we got to get this zoning figured out. So yes, once the zoning should it move forward, then we would help with any engineering, figuring out the parking and access and all that.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Thomas. Is there anyone here in opposition to this case? All right, seeing none. Are there any questions from the commission?
Yes.
All right. Mr. Thomas, is your client here by chance, or are you just here as representative?
No,
okay.
Mr. Ahari is not here.
Okay. Well, I understand your situation. You may not know everything, but Mr. Lowry, go ahead.
So I'll hopefully try to make this easy. So I know this area well. It's in the district that I represent. So I can see why they haven't been able to rent the house. It's not in the most attractive place or condition. So the photo that we have in our case file actually shows what looks like some pre-construction or some construction that was started and then halted. And so I'm curious what the plans are for the development of the site. Are they going to finish the building? Is it going to look like that? And
yes, it's my understanding that Mr. Ahari had started doing renovations to make it this commercial
facility and then was stopped. There was a stop work order done. So yes, and I believe as part of this, once the zoning would be approved, that we would have to have architectural drawings submitted along with engineering plans as well.
So would you be okay bringing the architectural plans back to us for approval if we approve the zoning today, just so we can see?
Yes, I don't think he has any
I
problem
mean,
with that.
it's not a stellar area, but there's some level of not showing exposed construction wrap, kind of flavor for the area. So,
Understand.
So, and as far as the roadway, since it's going to be, if it's considered for commercial property, for roads and transportation or engineering, is there a commercial driveway requirement? Anything we need to talk about there?
There is a requirement, but we'll get to that point when they bring their site layout back, and because they could be accessing it off Mildred or Old Spring. So, but that will be a discussion we'll have, and the permit will be pulled.
Okay. So I guess the only thing I'm feeling right now is a condition to have a final approval of site and elevation plans. Come back to us. And we're a decision-making body for that, so if you make it through the full commission with the rezoning.
We have no issues with that, and we understand that that was going to be part of the process.
And it just be comparable to what's in the neighborhood.
Right, correct.
I'm not asking for full brick architectural roof stuff, so, okay. All right. That's all I've got, Mr. Chairman.
Sure. All right, any other questions? Just one quick procedural question, make sure we're doing this in the right order. Plan amendment. Mr. Brown, did you say that we have to have a plan amendment in order for final rezoning to be approved by the county commission?
No, not
Okay.
when only one site is involved. You don't.
Great. Good deal. So we'll just treat this like a normal rezoning case. Great. All right, then we will go ahead and close the public hearing and call for motion.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, right before I make a motion, I'll just make some comments that I do know the area really well, and it is very transitional. City of Clay and City of Center Point bound on several sides, and they have commercial and industrial properties there, so it makes sense to follow along with that, with this property in the county. So based on that, I'll make a motion to recommend approval of Z220047 with a condition that the Planning and Zoning Commission review and approve the site and elevation plans.
Second.
I've got a motion and a second. All in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. All right, the ayes have it. Thank you, sir. Our next case is Z22-50, Marilyn Rice's request for a change of zoning from R1 to A1 for a residential use to include a farm of 11.69 acres in the Dora area. Mr. Brown, if you would please, go ahead.
Yes, sir. So this is a case that you're already familiar with. It's an extension of the original KZ 2136, and you have an aerial view of the site. KZ 2136 was actually this square block here, which is approximately 50 acres. The site subject property is at the end of Michael Drive and/or Daniel Trail cul-de-sac. This is the future land use plan, which shows you that the property is designated rural village. And the existing land use map shows the original zoning KZ 2136, which was to the west. So the site is presently zone R1, single family district, and the applicant, as you mentioned, Mr. Chairman, is requesting a rezoning to the A1 zone district, and this property would be used for grazing of his farm animals. Under the existing case, Z2136, there were two conditions proposed, which we're also proposing for the current case, Z2250, and those conditions are: should any livestock be kept on the property, a 100-foot buffer shall be established where adjacent to the residential community to the east, that is zone R1 single family, where no livestock is to be allowed. Number two, no mobile homes shall be permitted on the property except for temporary emergency relief purposes, and that's the staff's recommendation with those two conditions, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. We'll now open the public hearing. Ask the applicant to come forward if they wish to do so at this time. Yes, sir.
I am Cody Gilbert, 8208 Country Meadows, Dora, Alabama. Speaking on behalf of Marilyn Rice, she's the current owner. I am the buyer. So we actually started the process today of title search. We met about this, what's showing up there, I think it was November, December, and there was some concerns from a couple different people about grazing and using it as farm. And my plans is to use it as a home place. I plan on building there, but you don't really want to own 50 acres and it be zoned R1 is the reason why we push for this. But I do plan on still meeting those requirements. And currently it would just be cut for hay is what my plan would be, because it's a 50-acre field. There's hardly any trees, and plan to build in 5 or so years when I could actually afford it. It's
Okay.
my plan.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Gilbert. Yeah, let's see if there's any. Sir, you're not here on this case, are you? You are? Okay. Are you related to him? No. All right. Are you in opposition? All right. Come on up then. Let's go ahead and hear from you. Sorry to presume that y'all were connected. Y'all were sitting together back there.
That's all right. Well, I mean, we're friends. I mean, so it's kind of a close-knit community. You know?
Yes, sir.
So,
I understand.
My name is David Weldon. Live at 8427 Daniel Trail, just a few feet away from that. I am here representing several of the folks that live in our subdivision. I'm assuming that you guys received several emails in opposition?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm representing myself and Danielle, my wife, Todd and Amanda Creel at 8410 Brook Lane, Danley and Tanya Cox at 8402 Brook Lane, Derek and Tara Griffin, 8409 Brook Lane, Kevin and Danielle Johnson, 8400 Daniel Trail, Tracy and Audrey Robbins at 8408 Daniel Trail, and I believe also Hazel Wolf at 8403 Daniel Trail emailed you, as well as Ron and Samantha Leska at 8423 Daniel Trail. So I went through the documents. I mean, I think we received this document, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 days ago. It hasn't been long. And I did notice there was a few, whether it's mistakes, corrections need to be made, whatever, on the documents that was prepared. On page 5 of 9, the property is listed as vacant, like Mill Creek Meadows is listed as vacant and undeveloped land. I mean, Jay, I know you know exactly where it's at. That property is not vacant, nor is it undeveloped. I mean, there's underground utilities, freshly paved roads. Thank you, Marilyn. You know, it's a thriving little community. So to list that as vacant and undeveloped is not accurate.
Let me. I don't mean to break your stride, Mr.
Sure.
Weldon, but in our your point's well taken. And in our packet, though, I want you to know too that next to the map that says vacant land on it,
Right.
we also have an aerial photo that does show the houses that are developed. So
Right.
we do know.
Right. And
We do
let's-
have some information that is.
How do you point this thing? Well, this map's old. I mean,
Okay.
Really old. I mean, my house is here.
Okay.
I mean, we bought 2 acres, 2 lots, and put a house in the middle of it.
Okay.
This house right here, Miss Goss' house, hers is not on there. Someone just purchased this lot right between Dantley and Todd, and it's my understanding that they're getting ready to build there. There's another lot right here that's presently being built. Well, this thing's not working. Anyways, beside the Harlans. So
Okay.
this is not an accurate representation, number one. Okay.
All right.
So, and I did notice I guess this is the part that really kind of got me, and the rest of the. Thank you. Was the rest of the top one? Okay, thank you. Was the rest of the homeowners was the access to this property is through Daniel Trail. And look, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not I don't sit on a board or commission. I'm just a simple electrical contractor. Right? But I'm looking at the definition of what A1 residential is. And I see a Christmas tree farm, which wouldn't be a problem. A dairy farm, which is a problem. A dog kennel with outside runs, that's a problem. General farming, greenhouses, home daycare. home occupations, mobile homes, poultry farms, rabbit and other farms. I mean, look, Cody, I mean, can I speak directly to Cody for 2 seconds?
I wish you wouldn't.
Okay, I won't. Cody, I mean, I don't have any doubt that Cody's going to buy this property, and his intention is to be his forever home. I mean, that's what he's told me.
Mm-hmm.
And I have no doubt in my mind that that's his intentions.
Mm-hmm.
However, life happens. And if something happens to Cody, he says, crap, man, I need to sell this property. You know, all of a sudden, we're stuck with a A1 zoning. And me and my family have sacrificed to build this, to build our home. And these other families here have paid top dollar for these lots, and top dollar for homes as well, thinking that what we were going to go in the future with is an expanded subdivision. Okay? So put yourself in my shoes, in my community shoes, just a second. Cody decides to sell in 2 years, 3 years, whatever. Well, we're still living here. And then all of a sudden, you know, Billy's Pig Farm decides to put a farm right here, or a chicken house right there within 100 foot. Have you guys been 100 foot away from a chicken house? That ain't close enough, man.
I know, and I don't want to break your stride again either, but I do want to say that previously we heard this case. Okay, and I understand that we're back here today because the legal description was wrong and it didn't include the entirety of the property.
Right.
And so that long, tall sliver there that's between that quarter section and your subdivision, that's really what we're rezoning here. And that's what we're coming back here to clean that issue up, because that was what was left off the original rezoning crust. We thought it was included, though, in the original rezoning, and we voted to approve the agricultural zoning, but we required that on the eastern side, the entire length of that. No, sir, to the right, to the right.
That's partially what we're talking
the one you're concerned about.
I understand your concern.
No. Well, what I'm saying is to address your concern.
Yes.
We required a 100-foot wide buffer where no livestock or anything could be kept in there. So just where you had your laser pointer, I just wanted you to know that last time we thought we were putting a covenant for a 100-foot wide buffer from the property that he's under contract to buy and your subdivision. And so I just wanted you to be aware of that we hear you loud and clear on that, and we considered that last time, and we made a condition to address that.
Gotcha.
Okay.
I didn't know anything about the last one.
Okay.
In October of last year, but I did go back and listen to the minutes, and I think you guys represented it very, very well. I do have some questions about this parcel is part of Mill Creek Meadows subdivision, and it's bound by the covenants that stated in instrument LR 2013-16, page 19474. So in case Z2005-001, that case rezoned this 86-acre tract from A1 to R1. That includes 67 lots with covenants, which added fire hydrants, minimum lot sizes, and architectural design elements, and paved driveways. Case S 2005-004 approved 65 preliminary lots and 29 lots that were recorded. Well, per section 7.10 of our covenants, Mill Creek Meadows covenants, until the first day of June 2025, the restrictions and provisions contained shall run with and bind the subject property unless an execution of an instrument signed by not less than 75% of the parcel owners.
Mm-hmm.
So this Mill Creek Meadows subdivision was bound by the covenants that basically says until 2025, you can't do anything with it unless 75% of the folks that live in here say you can. All right? So since there's not been any such instrument executed, I'm asking you to deny this rezoning.
Let me ask you this. Does it say that when you say that you can't do anything with the property,
Right.
you could build a house on it, couldn't you?
you can add to it, and you can actually add property to it. However, if you remove a restriction from the property, 75% of the parcel owners have to agree. Now, I emailed that to you.
Okay.
Or to Willie.
Well, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So how is parcel members defined? Is
Well,
it by acreage, or is it by?
No, it's defined by member. It's also state law as well, not just Jefferson County. So a developer, even if they own 1,000 units, still only gets 3 votes. All right. So, but I'm running out of time, I think. So let me finish.
Well, I don't want to cut you short, but those covenants that you're talking about
Yes.
is a private agreement between landowners. The original developer.
Why is it filed with the county then? Why is it filed with the judge of probate?
I don't want to argue with you, sir. I'm just telling you that those covenants were imposed by the developer of the property that owned your entire subdivision and this property at the same time.
Sure.
They imposed those covenants to run with the land, and then in order to make sure they were binding on all the successors of the property, they were recorded in the probate records. Okay, that's a private agreement between. That's why you and all your neighbors are able to require of the other one certain standards, and it's based on those covenants. That's a private agreement. The county doesn't have anything. This board, the county zoning regulations, doesn't have anything to do with those private covenants. Okay, our zoning regulations are public requirements. They're laws that are created. That's a private contract between individuals, and we don't have anything that says, well, if there's a private contract that prohibits it, you can't consider the rezoning. I hope that set in.
Yeah, well, I don't think that's adequate.
Okay.
Nor I think that's
you don't have to.
Right, exactly.
Well,
exactly.
It's a civil matter.
So, yeah, it's probably a civil matter. Yeah, so, well, I said all that to say this. I hope that the board will agree with me that a path this way for a pig farm is a bad idea through a residential community. So you could have 40-foot long shipping containers brought in through a residential community where kids are coming in. It's a bad idea. It's just a bad idea. I spoke with Cody earlier, just for a split second. I would like to propose something different that makes the residents of Mill Creek Meadows happy, makes Maryland happy, makes Cody happy, because it's exactly what he says he wants to do. Why don't we rezone it instead of A1, which has this ton of stuff that none of us want in there? Why don't we rezone it to estate mini farm? Estate mini farm allows Cody to put his horses back here for personal use, and it has a single family dwelling. I don't remember exactly what the minimum size house is, but I mean it's like 1,600 square foot. So it's no mobile homes. It gives us a little bit of protection against a pig farm.
All right, and you realize that the 40-acre parcel that's next to that tall parcel has already been rezoned agricultural. You realize that?
I understand that.
Okay.
But here's my thing. When the notices went out, the 2 people I've talked to in our community that received notices, Dantley Cox and Todd Creel, both sent oppositions. 2 notices were sent out. 100% was opposed. And this board decided, yeah, that's okay.
Well, the county commission decided it actually, but we made a recommendation to them.
Right. So is that a good idea? 100% of the people who was notified said, no, I don't want this. And you guys said, yeah, it's fine.
Well, that's not totally fair. Okay, were you here? I was.
I wasn't. No, you know why? Because I live 600 feet away instead of 500
let
feet
me
away.
finish. So we heard the concerns of the opposition. They had valid points.
Right.
We listened to them, and I'm pretty sure I proposed the compromise that we put a 100-foot buffer to alleviate some of the concerns of smells and odors.
Sure.
I don't have my records here with me, but I have a pretty
I was
good memory.
You're exactly right.
So we did address the issues and concerns. We didn't, recommend for the opposition, but we did listen and make adjustments.
Right. Now, I remember which one said it, Mr. Evans. I think it was you said it, that you really don't like downzoning. This is going back from October of last year. So and I listened to it yesterday. So
yeah, I don't remember exactly, but I've used that term, and it depends on the situation. But sure.
So I'm asking you asking you, as myself and the other residents of this subdivision who've invested hundreds of thousands of dollars, to not allow this property to be zoned A1. Please reconsider and rezone this as a state mini farm. Cody gets what he needs. Maryland can still sell it, no issues there. And I think it's a win-win situation.
Let me see what Mr. Morrison has to say about the state mini farm.
The gentleman said that he was going to harvest hay. I'm not sure that that would be allowed under a statement.
Okay.
I will say this, that this property right now, all this right here is baled hay. Every bit of it. They bale hay here every summer. They bale hay here every summer. I mean, I don't know why. I mean, I heard this from October. Baling hay is not a problem. Heck, I live in Corner. I mean, I don't live in Vestavia.
Yeah.
I don't live in Mountain Brook. This is Corner, man.
And technically, that's his own violation.
Yeah, and I hear what you're
Nobody's
saying.
ever said a word about it because we live in Corner.
And also, again, because you live in Corner, your subdivision is probably one of the few that has all of its own law.
Yeah, you are surrounded.
Surrounding you is A1.
Everything.
Right.
Your subdivision is the spot zone, essentially.
Right. But the beauty of it is the reason why when we bought our property and we spent what I thought was a gross amount of money is because that entire area was R1, and I knew my property values would be protected.
Everything that's on the backside of Daniel Trail is on A1, and I've got to write permits for pig farms. In fact, tomorrow if they come into the office.
I understand that, but the pig farm is not in my backyard.
No, but they're literally in your backyard.
My house? Yeah.
Yeah, those two.
Right there.
The property to the
I
north
know
of
that
you.
Mike Bush is not going to put a pig farm in his house, and Randy Bush is not going to put one on his property. Right. Exactly. I don't disagree with you.
All right, Mr. Rubin, you have anything else?
I mean, I'm just asking you not to allow A1. You know, I'm asking you to deny the rezoning. I'm asking you to rescind your decision that you made on Z210036. So
That's not before us. Okay.
Right.
The only thing that's before the rescission is not before us. The only thing that's before us is consideration of downzoning this particular parcel to A1.
That's what I got, man.
Yeah, and look, I understand your concerns. If you watch the video, I mean, I don't have as good as memory Mr. Lowry does. I'll be the first to admit it. But I don't doubt that I had concerns. I always have concerns when somebody is trying to put agricultural next to residential. Michael Moore can say he gets annoyed with me sitting here talking about it, and I do. We fully considered this case a while ago, and I hear you. I'm afraid you may be a day late and a dollar short.
But why? But excuse me. But why does the timing of the time I was notified have anything to do with it?
Well,
I learned this out 3 days ago, man. You guys have known this for a year.
Well, I haven't known for a year that this case was coming back, but the notice requirements are done in accordance with state law, and what we do is they're noticed based on tax assessments, and that's not a perfect system, but it's what the state legislature says we're supposed to do. And sometimes the assessments, and it's dependent on the U.S. mail running, and so I hear you. We could sit here and go on and on about it's not a perfect system, but it's what we have to follow as far as the notices. And so if not everybody got them, actually received them, that's unfortunate, but it doesn't mean that we didn't do what we're supposed to do, and that's all that we do.
So we're gonna. You think I'm gonna ask you, Al, this board, this personally. You think it's a good idea through a residential community, through a subdivision, to bring fuel trucks, livestock trucks, whatever kind of trucks through this area on a daily basis? If in fact Cody decides to sell and it becomes a farm, there's nothing we can do about it. Guys, please reconsider this.
I understand your opposition, sir. I do, and we're going to hear from Cody and see what his plans are and see if there's anything he may be willing to do on it, and that's all we can do.
Okay,
Okay? All right. Thank you, Mr. Welborn. All right, Mr. Gilbert, would you mind coming forward and hopefully addressing some of the concerns that Mr. Welborn's got?
Yeah, so my name again is Cody Gilbert, 8208 Country Meadows Drive. I do hear his concerns, and I plan on living there. I have a couple kids. He's not really concerned about me, and I understand that, but now, after listening to him, but the way I would explain it to him and to y'all to make, I'm hoping y'all both feel better, is I own 78 acres in Walker County, right on the edge. That's where I have my cows, my farm. That's realistic prices when it comes to land. This is not realistic. I'm paying too much for land, to be honest, be my age, but I really, really want it. So that's what I'm doing. If I ever did have to sell, I wouldn't be able to afford it, but to sell it for market value, which is somebody's not going to put a pig farm. Nobody with any sense would spend that much on land and then put a pig farm. I mean, I have a cattle farm, and I'm telling you, I bought somewhere else because it was cheaper to put the cow at. It only makes sense. I'm buying this to live on. I grew up on about 20 acres, so I want my kids to have some acreage. Any questions, though, that I might could help with?
All right. Any questions from the commission?
Yeah, you know me, I always have a couple questions. Mr. Gilbert, so tell me about what your plans are for the property, both the parcel that's already zoned A1 and then the parcel we're considering today that's zoned R1.
So both would be the same, but currently, you can't tell here, but on the other one that they've already platted on that back 40, the back is really wet, the back 20 acres, but the front 30 is pretty land. That's pretty good hay. It's been messed up for the last couple of years. They haven't took care of it, but I do plan on working. The guy that's currently cutting it, I'll buy hay from him anyways. So we're going to work together to make the field look better, and that's what I plan on doing it currently. And then I plan on building a house, hopefully in the next 5 years is my goal. And comparable.
Have you decided out a location?
Not an exact location, but it would be off of Michael Drive would be the most realistic.
Will it be in the parcel we're talking about today?
I honestly don't know. It'd be somewhere, to be honest, right where the line is. If I think that's where that line is, it'd be right there somewhere. But it could teeter either way. I'm not sure, just to be honest with you, sir, which one it would be on. But it would be comparable, but not maybe to the same covenants as that subdivision. It's the nicest subdivision in our area. I mean, by far, that's why I want to live there.
Do you have any plans besides cutting hay and having a house there? Like, are you going to have livestock? Even, is it, a 10-year down the road, maybe I might want to, or?
I'll be perfectly honest with you. The only spot that I, in the back of my mind, would think that I would is the back 20, which is, there's Mill Creek runs through the back 20. It's really, really wet. If I ever did, I'd put a cross fence right there, and it would be in the very, very back. Because I plan on living there, too. I don't want the smells either.
Well, I have a wild idea for you to think about. Withdraw your case, build your house, plant your grass, mow it the way everything is right now. You can build a house either on the parcel that's A1 or the one that's on R1. You heard from the opposition already, they're already cutting grass in R1.
I personally would rather it move forward the way it's going. I don't want to fight with anybody, and I talked to everybody in the subdivision and got 12 out of the 14 signatures, so I informed them. But I definitely want my neighbors to be happy because I plan on living by them.
Okay, so all right, so this is a compromise idea. So if we consider the rezoning, would you be willing to limit for this parcel here to maybe not have your livestock on it?
And I'd rather not, to be honest with you. I mean, I'm not saying that I plan on it, and I don't, but if I buy 50 acres and I want to put a horse, I don't ever plan on putting cattle. I mean, 50 cows, like, that's what made everybody upset. There's a farmer that put 50 to 100 head of cows, some insane number right behind that subdivision, that nice. That's what upset everybody, and I'm a realistic person. I do not ever plan on doing that.
Michael, isn't that a zoning violation, 50 head of cows on 11 acres? No? Oh, okay, A1. Okay. All right. Okay, all right, I get it. So, y'all are way far off on what y'all want, so.
All right, are there any other questions from the commission?
I'm sorry if this is repetitive, just clarification. Your plans is to build a house and live there. Your plans are not to put livestock on that property, is that correct?
Yes, sir. But I'll be honest with you, I mean, I got a 2-year-old boy. If he ever wanted a horse or, a goat to put in the back, very back, then it's a possibility I would.
Well, let me clarify my livestock terminology. I'm talking about a herd of cattle or 12, 15 horses.
No, not a herd of cow. If I ever did put a cow, just to be honest with you, I do feed out cows, like a steer, 1 or 2 a year. Just for convenience, I might put that 1 or 2 in the back. But I don't ever plan on running more than 10 because I don't ever plan on having that many because it's a job. Me and my dad have about 20, 10 for him, 10 for me. Once you get more than that, it's a job. And I have a job that I took off to come here.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
What would be the purpose of rezoning it if you're going to build a house on it and not have cattle and whatever on it? Why would you want to rezone it?
Because it's corner and A1 is worth more. If I ever did plan on selling my house, somebody that wants to buy 50 acres, if they want to ride a dirt bike, I don't know what all the regulations are, and it sounds confusing to be honest. But if my son wants to ride a dirt bike on his 50 acres, I don't know which one that falls under, so I'd rather just be safe and it be A1.
All right. Are there any other questions? All right, Mr. Welborn, we got 1 more minute.
It's more just to set Cody's mind at ease. Like you said, we live in Corner. It's not uncommon for Griffin Humphreys to ride his motorcycle through our neighborhood, and nobody says a word to him. I have bird dogs. Kevin Johnson has bird dogs. This is Corner. And I guess I'll just restate it. If that section stays R1, Cody builds his house, not a word's going to be said to him. But if something happens and Cody loses possession of it, then it's Katie bar the door. We have no idea. We have no protection for what could happen.
Yeah.
So let's leave it at that, I guess.
All right. Yes, sir. All right.
Can I add something to the record? Currently, because of this subdivision case and rezoning case was run currently, this was more or less a clerical error.
Yeah.
The subdivision plat has this as one lot, and as such, you can't have split zoning on it. So either it needs to be A1 or we have to have another case to rezone back the other one to have one zoning classification.
All right.
We've noticed that the split zoning aspect has created issues, financing.
Mm-hmm.
There have been questions, there have been misunderstandings of the property owners, people adjacent. It just helps to have each individual lot in its one own zoning classification.
Yeah, and I want to have a motion. I want to say this real quick, though, before we have a motion. Mr. Welborn, I hear you loud and clear, okay? I appreciate your honesty. I know that you've invested a lot of money in your property. I understand what the plan was, what y'all's understanding may have been. I get it. We see this a lot, okay? Currently, though, I'm concerned with the fact that right now, that 40-acre tract, he can go and put animals on there now, on a part of his property, okay? Not this tall section that not this taller parcel that's immediately adjacent to y'all, but the other 40-acre tract that's next to that. And so it's hard for me. You're concerned about trucks and stuff coming through the neighborhood. I'm afraid it's already there, okay? I think it's great that you got a good neighbor that doesn't want to use it for all those purposes right now, but the concern is already there. But I do hear you. We heard the concerns last time, and we imposed covenants based upon that. And so I just want to let you know you did a good job. You were respectful. I understand why you would be upset, but I do hope that you kind of understand our situation too. I mean, I'm looking at this going, yeah, I know you're in a nice neighborhood, but these are larger parcels that he's talking about buying. And in a pretty rural area, there's a lot of agricultural around it, and so it's difficult for me to ignore that. So anyway, we'll close the public hearing and call for a motion.
All right, Mr. Chairman, a lot of consideration here today, but I finally settled on making a motion to recommend approval of Z220050 with the two previous conditions from the last zoning case. One, should any livestock be kept on the property, a 100-foot buffer shall be established where adjacent to the residential community to the east that is zoned R1, where no livestock is to be allowed. And two, no mobile homes shall be permitted on the property except for temporary and emergency relief purposes.
Second.
I've got a motion and a second. All in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. All right, the ayes have it. Again, we only make recommendations. The final decision will be made by the county commission. You're free to go and address your same concerns to them, and I'm sure they will consider them. Okay? All right. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right.
One more. Review plan.
All right, Ms. Hughes. Go ahead, Ms. Hughes, whenever you're ready.
Okay. We're here today for requesting approval of a site plan and architectural design in accordance with the existing covenants on the zoning case from 2018. The case above, the land was approved for a medical spa. Some of you may remember this case, and some you might be just being introduced to it, but it was approved for a medical spa. That's the commercial zoning. It went from A1 to C1. Today, they're coming back before you for approval of the site plan. Here's the site plan. There were covenants. The covenant required that there was a 6-foot wooden fence to the north of the property. And the reason for that is, okay. And the reason for the north is, if you notice, there's residential properties to the north of the property. There's 2 existing houses. Across the street on the west, that's part of the Colonial Promenade. That's the theater. And adjacent to that, how do I do the lights? Okay. And adjacent here, this is a dental office. This is the movie theater. This is a dental office. So this is both commercial properties. And this is Rosser Farms, Sector 1. So the wooden fence will be across here, 6-foot wooden fence that was recommended by the P&Z. It will be to the north of the property, dividing it from the residential property. And along the wooden fence, there will also be shrubbery and trees. There's a buffer along that in the parking lot. The building meets the setbacks of the zoning requirements, and the covenants have been met. Staff does recommend approval.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Hughes. Any questions from the commission on this? Does not look like the applicant is here. Is that correct? All right.
If they were here, I'd say good job.
Yeah. All right. Well, do we have a vote? Anybody have a motion?
Motion to approve the site plan and architectural review for case Z180028.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. All right. The ayes have it.
Okay. I forgot to show the renderings. I'm sorry. This is what they're proposing to build at the location.
It's in our package. It looks great.
Cool.
It looks nice.
All right.
That's high class.
That's high class. That's high fashion.
I'm gonna try it out.
Man, once again. You try to compromise with him like that. You was like, no, I want that.
Soft, sexy.